Welcome back to my channel. It is me, Curly K Glam, and I am here to review part 2. This is the part 2 video of season 1 of my Grownish recap. And so last video we ended off on episode 5 of season 1, and now we're going to start on episode 6 of season 1, and that is called Cashing Out. And in this episode, by this time, Cash is having a very successful basketball season at Cal U. And so he goes on basically their version of Sports Center and does an interview with old girl from Sports Center. I cannot remember her name. I think it might be Camille. He goes on and does an interview with Camille, and so she's asking him all these questions, and basically she's asking, is he going to leave Cal U and declare for the draft? And so then he tells her that he's not sure, but he said he's not making a decision without Zoe. And at this point, Zoe doesn't know that. So basically he put Zoe on the spot, and so then the camera pans from the set to Zoe, and so the whole world sees who Zoe is. And so at this point, after that, Rainbow, Zoe's mom, shows up to campus, and she's in Zoe's room, and she's worried about Zoe because Zoe is not answering her phone. So then she asks Zoe, well, what is this I see about you being on national TV and being with this guy? And Zoe basically tells her mom that she's in love with Cash. And so then her mom says, she asks her, has she lost her innocence to Cash? And she tells her mom yes. And then, her mom seemed kind of excited about that. And so I thought that was a little weird, because typically you just don't, I don't know. So typically, so she asked her mom, and then her mom was just like, well, Zoe, you're too young to be in such a serious relationship. And Zoe was just like, well, Mom, I feel like, at this point in my life, I'm an adult and I should be able to make my own decisions. And then her mom, being that she's an anesthesiologist, she's like, Zoe, I raised you to be a woman with your own mind and to go after your dreams and goals. And me and your father have not paid for you to come to this nice school for you to receive an education, for you to leave and become a basketball wife. And so Zoe was just like, Mom, I know that this is a big decision, and I know that if I decide to go through with this and leave school to follow Cash, that I'm gonna be leaving my family, I'm gonna be leaving my school, and that I'm gonna have to figure things out for myself. And so basically, excuse me, y'all, I'm sorry. At this point, when Zoe's talking to her mom, her mind is made up about leaving with Cash. It's not until her mom leaves, when she has a talk with Cash herself, when her and Cash are spending time together before they leave. The Cal U basketball team is going to Arizona. They're going to leave, and she's having a conversation with Cash, and Cash doesn't really seem like sure about, leaving and her going with him. And so basically she was just like, well, Cash, what do you mean? Like, I'm confused. At first you say you want me to go. I made up my mind. I'm legit about to leave my family and my school and my whole life for you, and then you don't know what you want to do. So basically this is when Cash and Zoe break up. Or Zoe, I don't know who broke up with who. I don't think Cash was trying to break up with Zoe, but I think at the way that the conversation was going, Zoe was either all in or all out. And so I think they just broke up. I don't think it was clear who broke up with who. But on the next episode of Unbreak My Heart, it's made to be seen. That's not good grammar. It's made to look. I'm trying to explain it in the best way I can. It looks like it's inferred. That's the better word. It's inferred that Cash broke up with Zoe, and at this point, Zoe is going through heartbreak. Like, she is on her heartbreak Drake flow. Like, the girl ain't leaving the bed. She eating in the bed. Her room is a mess. Her life is a mess. She's just depressed. And so her friends come in the room to get her out the bed and to go out and try to have some fun with her, because she's been in her room for 3 weeks and Cash has gone on about his business. So basically when they've gotten her dressed and they're about to go out, it's a blackout in the dormitory where they staying at. And all in all, Zoe gets back in her pajamas and she starts back sulking and eating. So Nomi proceeds to try to get Zoe under the influence. And so she's trying to get her to bad mouth Cash, to trying to, get Zoe to loosen up and to get out her feelings. And so basically, Vivek and Aaron end up walking door to door on the hallway. And they're walking door to door in the hallway trying to see what girls they can swindle into basically having a blackout hookup. And they was being thoughts. They was really being thoughts. And so basically Aaron ends up telling Zoe that Cash is now courting Zoe Kravitz. And so Zoe loses her mind because at this time they were broken up, but she was still having conversation with Cash, and I guess it kind of seemed like they were going to get back together, but then they're not. And so she leaves the room because she wants to call Cash, but her friends just were like, girl, don't you call Cash, don't you seem weak, and don't you call Cash. And if you do call Cash and he was Zoe, she gonna laugh in your face because you calling her man phone, you're gonna be looking crazy. So basically she decides not to call Cash, and Aaron tells her that, Zoe, you're a good girl, you're goofy, He's basically complimenting her to make her feel better, even though he obviously has feelings for her. And so then with going on to the next episode, Erase Your Social, Zoe ends up going to Teen Vogue and becomes one of the top interns at Teen Vogue. And at Teen Vogue, at her Teen Vogue internship, just so happenly, Luca was invited to have an internship at Teen Vogue. So this episode basically shines light on how consumed with social media people are. And each character shows their involvement on social media. It deals with the topics of trolling, social justice issues, and what else? Because I know Anna and Naomi were trolling. Aaron was involved in social justice online. And I think Sky and Jazz were obsessing over the fact that they weren't getting any money. They were broke. And Zoe, of course, she was popular because she was a blogger on YouTube. And so she had this following already. And so basically, push come to shove, Luca and Zoe are talking. And this is the first time on air that Zoe calls Luca her boo. So anyway, this is the first time on screen, and I didn't notice this until the third time I watched Grownish, that Zoe refers to Luca as bae. So she's already made out with Luca. She's made out with Aaron too, but she's already made out with Luca, and she calls Luca bae. She says Luca is her bae. So they're going on about this new launch that's coming out from Fear of God, which is a clothing line. And then Zoe decides to take a hiatus from social media. And so with her taking a hiatus from social media, she's focusing, she's, thriving at Teen Vogue. And all of a sudden, the one time she pulls out her phone to take a picture, to take a selfie, she accidentally leaks the Fear of God launch. And so Fear of God is all mad at Teen Vogue, and basically the head director of the interns, she's mad at Zoe, and so Zoe loses her position as the head intern, and Luca then takes her position as the lead intern. The next episode is called Who Gonna Stop Me? And basically this deals with a drug-related incident at the school. Somebody was shot and killed at the school. And so in the beginning, all the crew think that it's Vivek, because Vivek is the only one missing. And because, of course, I told you in the beginning, Vivek is a drug dealer at school. So when they find out that it's not Vivek, Zoe is real, scared for Vivek. And so she tries to talk him out of selling drugs. But now that the top drug dealer at Cal U has died, basically everybody is going to Vivek for the prescriptions that they are looking for. And so he's making all this money. And so then at one point Vivek gets jumped and he gets beat up really bad and is in the hospital. And so I know Zoe told everybody he was in the hospital, but it seemed like no one cared. And so Zoe ended up going to the hospital with Vivek. And of course his parents don't know he's at school doing that. So he cannot tell his parents that he got beat up for selling drugs or somebody jumped him trying to take his money. So Zoe basically goes in the hospital and lies to Vivek's parents and say he got beat up for helping defend me. Somebody was being rude. And Vivek thanks Zoe. This is when Zoe officially stops taking Adderall, because from the time in episode 2 when Vivek gave it to her, she was still taking it up to then. The next episode is It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp. So basically at Cal U, Jazz and Sky are having trouble finding dates, and everybody in the crew has pretty much had a boo or had some kind of interaction with somebody. And so Sky and Jazz address the issues that Black women face while dating. And I related a lot to this episode, not because I had insecurities in myself, because I don't. But it's just like sometimes when you are a Black woman and you go to a PWI, your dating pool is real scarce. Not that you go to school to look for a boo, but like you just want to know that you're getting attention. Like, I don't know. That sounds bad, but it's just like you put on this outfit, you look cute, and you be like, dang, why ain't no boys talking to me? And then so they basically say, like, I don't know, at a white school, it's just like, okay, you're there. And for them, I couldn't believe it, because they actually were athletes, and usually Black female athletes don't have a problem finding a boo. But they were saying how all the Black guys wanted to try and date other races at school, which is true. And so then this is where we're introduced to Doug. Doug is a Black male from New York, and at the party, Sky actually walks up to him and asks him, why don't I ever see you talking to any Black girls? Which was very overt and direct. Like, it was like, how do you just walk up to somebody and ask them that? But she did, and he was kind of like caught off guard. He didn't really know what to say. So then a few days later at school, he saw her and he walked up to her and was just like, I'm from New York. I'm all the way out here in Cali. I don't really, know anybody. And of course, I like Black girls. I've dated Black girls before, but, I'm out here with all these different races, so I just want to try something new. And so this is also after Sky saw Jazz talking to a white boy at a party, and Sky got mad. And she felt like her sister was settling because she didn't really want a white boy, but the white boy was giving her attention. So then at the end of this episode, Jazz and Doug officially start talking. They start liking each other. So Safe and Sound is basically one of the lesser episodes, but it did address like PWIs and how, I don't know, some people know, but when I went to at my PWI, we definitely had communities like this. I don't know if we had a Black hall per se, but we definitely had like frat houses, sorority houses. We had the International Pavilion where the international students stayed, and you had your housing for the Black Greeks, and then white Greeks had their housing, and then you had your all-girl dorms, then you had your all-boy dorms, then you had the co-ed dorms. It's not segregated, or they group people off because of what they look like, but it's just the community in which people can feel comfortable. And so basically Anna and Aaron get into it about what group should have a safe space, and then it gets so high that it goes to the dean, and he says that he's going to get rid of all the safe spaces, but then they end up keeping all the safe spaces the way they are, because Anna then realizes that if she tries to fight against the established way things are already, then it's going to tear all the other safe spaces down for all the other communities. Because I think they had a Latinx dorm, they had I think they had an international dorm, they had all Black dorm, and then they had certain other dorms on campus at Cal U. And then we're here to episode 12, Crew Love, and this is my second favorite episode of season 1. Basically, it starts off with everybody at a party. Zoe's dancing with Aaron, then Zoe's dancing with Luca, and when she's dancing with either one of them, the other one is looking jealous, like, dang, my boo dancing with somebody else. But in this episode, Zoe is searching for answers because basically she likes Aaron, she likes Luca, and both of them like her, but both of them are not making it obvious to her that they like her. And so basically she tries to bait them a little bit into saying that they do, but neither one of them officially come out and say that they do. So Zoe goes and hangs out with Aaron, and she tries to tell Aaron about Doug and Jazz being together, and basically he says my girl, but he don't say it in a way like my girl as if I want to be with her. He's saying my girl as if my home girl, and Zoe didn't really take too kind to that. So then she went to Luca, and Luca and her talking. Luca is just, I don't know, sometimes Luca just really being out of space child. But she's telling Luca how she's gonna buy all this stuff off eBay for the girls to go to freshman formal. And so her and Luca are sitting in the design lab, and so she was just like, well, how would you feel if, me and you went to the dance together? And he was just like, oh yeah, for sure. And so then he volunteers to make her a dress, and she's thrilled about it because she knows that Luca is this great designer. And so the girls are basically getting ready to go to freshman formal, and then Luca shows up with her dress, and then he helps her put it on, and then she turns around, she was like, well, what are you wearing? He was just like, I'm not going to the dance, that's whack. And then she was just like, but you said that you were going. He was like, no, I'm not, but you have a good time though. And so then he leaves. So Zoe gets to dance with her friends. I'm going to ignore all the points about Nomi and Anna at this point because their pieces of the story is not relevant. We're just going to focus on Luca, Zoe, and Aaron. And so when they get to the dance, Aaron takes Zoe and tells her to come outside. So she comes outside, and he basically spills the beans to her that he likes her, he wants to be with her, and that he wants her to think about it. And so then Zoe is caught off guard, and so she really doesn't say much. She just stands there and listens, and she agrees, and then Aaron kisses her on her face, and then he walks off. And then standing in the background is Luca, and he saw the whole thing. And he's standing there in his red suit. Luca is so fine. He's standing there in his little red suit with his bouquet of flowers, and he looks so hurt. He looked so hurt that he saw Zoe with Aaron. And so he was just like, basically, Luca, she runs after Luca, and she was like, Luca, wait, I didn't know that you like me. I didn't know that Aaron liked me. She was like, and up until now, I didn't know how any one of you felt. She's like, and now both of y'all at the same time trying to tell me how y'all feel. And so Luca was just like, well, it's up to you to decide now. And so basically that goes into episode 13, which is the last episode of the season, called Back and Forth. And this is when Zoe is in a complete love triangle between Aaron, Cash, and Luca. Each one of the friends run into the potentials. The twins run into Cash, Luca runs into Nomi, and Anna runs into Aaron, and they all are basically competing with each other to try to persuade Zoe which guy she should date. And so the twins say that she should date Cash because Cash is a future NBA baller. He gonna have bread, and she will be set for life. And then she was saying that Aaron played. They were saying that Aaron played games, so Anna was like, "Well, Aaron is gonna buy you this, and he really likes you, and you've liked him from the beginning. So now that he finally likes you, and you know it, like, what is the problem?" And so basically, Naomi walks in on Luca, and Luca has this whole painting of Zoe because he's like at this point infatuated with Zoe, and he has a hard time expressing the fact that he really likes her. And so Zoe's going back and forth with her mind. And so Naomi says that Luca is the only guy that Zoe hasn't had to change for. And with all of that, they start getting into an argument about who won the, the Marry Kill game. And not Yara. Her name is Yara in life, but Zoe leaves, and basically she goes to each guy and she has a talk with Cash, and then she has a talk with Aaron, and then in the end she chooses Luca. So this is the end of freshman year, and Zoe has chosen Luca. And if you haven't noticed by now, I am Team Zuka. I'm not Team Zarin. I know that may seem very childish, but you will see why I'm forever Team Luca, even though, Luca got to mature, in some ways. But, once we start reviewing the episodes in season 2, then you'll see. But I'm Team Zuka for now. And so, when season 3 starts, I'm going to see what's going to happen to Zuka. But don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I will be back with my recaps of the episodes from season 2. Stay tuned. Peace.